Welcome back to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl. I'm Dr. Cheryl Shire, PhD in Financial Management and Business Administration, and I'm a minister. Thank you for coming and being with us for the second part of our two-part discussion with Mark Sackett.
It's me, you know. Somebody busted me at a street light recently because I had my windows down and I had my iPod on, and I have.
Police?
No. It was I had my headset on. Everything was legal, but I was singing at the top of my lungs, "Superstar" by the Carpenters. Now that's the most nerdy, old school song because I like every kind of music, but for whatever reason, that was one of my kids' songs, and I learned to play drums listening to Karen Carpenter and and the Chicago and the Doobie Brothers.
We're in the same era. You know?
Oh, I know. I just turned 55, and you know it's
Well, you don't look like it.
Oh well, it's good lighting.
No, Mark, you don't look like it.
I try not to act it either, but
Well,
on
I
any given day.
wouldn't have thought you were 55.
Oh, yeah.
When I first met you, you were 53 or whatever. How old you were?
People guessed me to be in my early 40s, but you know what? I decided next year I'm going to say I'm 54, and I'm going to keep going backwards until somebody says no. I'm sorry. No, I'll just see if I can get away with.
That's a good idea. I might have to try that.
Well, I did have a date, and someone said to me, I told them how old I was, and they're like, "Oh, come on!" And they, kind of called me out on it, and they said, "Let me see your driver's license." So I pulled it out and I showed them, and I said, "Besides, who lies up?" I'm like, you lie up when you're 18 trying to get into a 21 club or something.
He was in high school.
But that's when you lie up. Once you're over 21, you don't lie up anymore.
So tell me, what's the biggest impact difference that you really want to make before you make transition?
I have a nonprofit that I'm working on called 24by24.org, and it's going slowly because I'm still working it in my head. I have to get it all in my head, and I'm about 80% worked out on it.
So what's this about?
Well, it kind of uses the power of social media and a concept, if everybody knows what network marketing is,
right.
Tiered, pyramid marketing, whatever you want to call it. I'm taking the concept of network marketing and taking the scheme out of it to nonprofit level. So it ultimately 24by24. Well, you know how people say, "Oh, that pyramid stuff. I don't like that." I'm removing all that, but it's basically the idea that, in a very quick way, you're going to give $24. Would you give $24 a year to charity?
Yeah,
without question.
Easy.
So based on your ability to give, you're either going to give $24 a year, a month, a day, an hour, however you want to give, but it'll be in those increments of 24. So do the math. You'll give in 24 categories or buckets of charity. So it'll be 6 main buckets, might be humans, the planet, health, environment, and disaster, or whatever those buckets might be. And I'm going to create the buckets, and underneath each bucket will be hundreds and hundreds of charities that qualify for that bucket. Then you'll do it on a local, regional, national, or international basis. And people will plug in their 24 into 24 in one square, 1 in each square, 6, 6, 6, 6, however you want to divide that up.
How did you come up with 24?
It's my favorite lucky number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we live in a 24-hour world, and 24 hours a day, and it just seemed like a good number. And so 24by24.org, by my calculations, it will give $6 billion to charity in its third year. And it'll be agnostic. So 100% of the money that you give, because you're going to decide where the money goes, we're just going to grant it for you, okay? And
so what does that mean exactly?
Self-directed. So you will give the money to the charity, to us. We will then grant it out into the buckets based on your desire to give into those different buckets.
Oh, okay.
But the magic of it is, once you've signed up, you're going to sign a contract, and your requirement to be a member of 24by24 is that you sign up 24 people under you, and they sign up 24, and they sign up 24. That's where the pyramid comes in, because everybody knows 24 people. Everybody has 24 relationships, and you know me, it's all about building relationships.
Yeah, that's true.
So I decided to use it as a way to, and then
it's a different concept for nonprofit.
Oh,
I mean, it's like
my goal is to eliminate things like the United Way in the world, with all of the administrative overhead and all that. So 100% of the money you give will go back to charity, because the administrative and management cost will come out of the float between a 60 to 90-day period from when you grant to when the grant's made. And that's how we'll operate the charity. And so my goal is about 3 years from now to be sitting on Oprah's couch talking about this, and be at the White House talking about this, and have each one of them pinned to be a 24by24 member. And then there's a corporate plan so that corporations can sign up all of their employees the first year and sponsor them. And so, and then I've got affinity that I'm attaching to it. So the higher you are in your pyramid and the more how good you do at giving and maintaining your downstream or your downline, if you will allow you benefits from retailers and discounts on flights and special concerts and events and red carpets and all kinds of things so that you can meet more people and talk about your passionate giving. So that's my ultimate goal. My other businesses will all support that, and then ultimately I think my other businesses will just sort of fade away, and that's all I'll do. I mean, that's kind of my goal. So
yeah. So how many years down the pike do you think that'll be?
6.
I mean,
5, 6.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It won't be too long. If I can get it launched, if I can get it launched, I'm going to start having my investor meetings here soon to raise money for it, to get the initial back-end technology built.
And this is going to be a nonprofit?
Yes.
Initially?
Yes. Well, it'll always be a nonprofit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's so you don't have anything specific in your funnels for each one of those, or is that going to evolve?
What do you mean?
Well, the 24, you're saying that there's, for the planet.
Well, there's 6 categories of charity, so
Right.
it'll be buckets that hold everything.
So are you do you have charities that you've already picked out for those buckets?
It'll be any 501c3 charity that's
okay.
doing good in the world.
So your donor, or your philanthropic donor, can choose whatever, and that you'll put it in there, or will it?
So
it's already established.
Let's say that your bucket is in the environment, okay,
Yeah.
versus people, versus animals, versus
Right.
disaster relief. If your bucket is the environment, all environmental charities will be listed under that bucket.
Okay, all
and based
on the planet, you're saying?
On the
Or-
planet, yes.
Oh, okay.
And then
okay.
based on which category you pick, they'll be subdivided, local, regional, national, based on your zip
okay.
code, right? Or based on your desire to give.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the money will be distributed equally to those charities based on the size and their need. So larger charities would get larger amounts of money, smaller charities would get equal, but equal percentages. So there won't be an imbalance there.
Right. Right. Well, I hesitate to use the word spiritual with you because of
I won't be offended.
How you define it, but I'm
Yes.
trying to also speak your language. So in not using spiritual, what would you say? Knowingness?
Okay, knowingness is good.
Knowingness.
I like that. Sure.
I know you said you like knowingness.
Okay.
So what suggestions, with your knowingness and your success and your goals, what suggestions would you give the audience or the viewers for their life the way it is today? I mean, we have multiple people watching, which are either they could be entrepreneurs or they're
Sure.
employees or whatever, but what insight and what suggestion could you give with all your background and your experience?
For them to succeed, for them to...
Well, yeah, from a knowingness, so I say from a spiritual point of view, what nugget or carrot could you give them to follow their purpose and their passion?
Well, first off, know what it is. Determine what it is. I mean, I do this networking event, that all over
Right.
the world now. I'm doing it in Sydney, Australia, coming up, and Zurich, Switzerland, and Orlando, and so many times. I mean, that one of the 4 questions I ask is, what is it in life that you're absolutely most passionate about? And a lot of people struggle with that answer. Yeah. So, many people are drones. You get up, you go to work, you live for your 3-week vacation sometime next year.
I say sheeple.
Sheeple, I like that. Okay.
I mean, they follow,
But the world is made up of people who lead and people who follow. That's
right,
easy.
Exactly.
And then that third group, the people who don't care.
Right.
Because there is that too.
I'm sure.
The passivity or it just doesn't matter. But you take these groups, but when I ask them, because they're all mixed together in my groups, because my groups aren't about a group. They're about people. Any person can come to my.
Right.
I have CEOs, entrepreneurs, people from all over the world come, and when I ask that question and I watch people struggle with it, it's just something I've never struggled with. And so my first thing is find what your passionate purpose is. And I have a really good exercise for doing this. I call it 15 minutes a day, and it really works for people. And then once you've determined that passionate purpose, don't be that person. Like I'm very much of get rid of words like shouldn't, don't, can't, and won't.
No, right.
Shouldn't, don't, can't.
Shouldn't,
don't, can't, and won't have to be eliminated from our vocabulary.
Absolutely.
And I understand how hard it is for people because they're like, look, I have 3 kids. I don't have a job. You don't understand my life. And I'm like, I don't care about your life. I care about, are you giving to others? Are you doing the best for your kids? Are you doing the best for your job? Are you doing the best for yourself? And if you aren't, then see if you can make a shift. I'm not going to tell people to fix something because I don't necessarily believe people are broken. But if you're not satisfied with yourself, then there is a way to shift. Now, are you willing to put some effort in to make that shift? It's kind of like if you're fat, get off the couch and see if you can do something about it.
Right.
But don't complain.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's like what I say about Democrats and Republicans. Democrats. I'm a Democrat to the core. Democrats sit at home. Democrats sit at home and moan about why they lose an election. Republicans vote in church pews on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, and because they tend to be more in action, but it's a quiet whisper. Democrats complain. Republicans are.
This isn't a political show.
No, it's not. No, but my point is that they both have this sort of complaint about them. Well, and it's like if you don't like that, shift it.
Anybody can change their thinking.
Anybody can change their thinking, no matter how stuck they are. And I've been stuck in my life, and I sometimes we have to hit bottom. Sometimes we have to have whatever we hear it referred to as the wake-up call.
Right.
But it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, Christian, non-Christian, gay, lesbian, straight. I don't care. The point is, we all have our story. We all have our pain points. We all have our weak points. What do you want to do to shift it? And nobody's going to. Never going to tell you you have to shift something. Yeah. I'm just going to say, if you really believe that's working for you, great. If you want to try something different, let's talk about it. But find your own personal brand, decide what that is for yourself, find your passionate purpose, and begin, even if it's tiny baby steps, to start making some effort towards moving towards that.
Yeah, one thing I say is, like when I first started writing my book, is that you take baby steps. I would concentrate on putting maybe 10 minutes a day, maybe even the beginning 5 minutes. And once you do a little bit of a step at a time, one step at a time, you can take more steps. So it doesn't have to happen all at once.
Well, my 15 minutes exercise is basically you get a journal and you have to work only in this journal, and you have to turn off your phone, and you can't have anybody around, you can't have your emails, you can't have distractions, and you focus 15 minutes a day on only ideation around what you believe or want or are searching for your passionate purpose. And it starts with people who say to me, when I ask that, and they're like, well, I've always wanted to ... And I'm like, okay, well, if you've always wanted to, then how about, would you make an effort to put 15 minutes a day towards it?
Right. It's
only 15 minutes. You could take it in the bathroom when you're sitting on the toilet if you have to. But I want it to be 15 focused minutes. I don't want a buy carrots and milk list in there. I don't want to call Cheryl about the show on Saturday in there. I don't want a to-do list.
It's here now.
It's not just presence, though. It's about focused commitment to I've always wanted to. Yeah. Okay? Because that will help you make a shift.
Do I have your permission to put your telephone number and your website? I mean, I don't know which website. I've got all that information. I mean, you've got a lot of
well, markiesackett.com has 58 social media sites. It has a bio on me. And I have 30,000 people in my network worldwide, and anybody is welcome to connect into me, provided one thing. That is that they don't take and they give. Yeah. Connect with me. Post on my walls, and all of my walls are all open to people about what your passionate purpose is and what you're selling and what you're doing. But if you're always selling and you're never giving, you're not trying to help my friends and the other people in my networks and the people who have less than you do, then eventually you're probably just going to get deleted. Because takers don't work over the long run.
So
but
you'll
anybody,
have to tell me
please,
what phone number works when I put.
I'll give you my mobile number, and I always give people my mobile number, and I know it's stupid because I get weird calls sometimes, and people wanting help. And the other thing I'll say about that is that, people come to my events or they come to me and they say, Mark, I want your help with something. I'm like, okay, what is it? And they tell me, and they're like, will you send out my resume to 50 people? And, because they know I have a huge network, and then I like to give to people and help people do better. And I say, no, I won't. I'll make my networks available to you and my
Right.
walls and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
And my LinkedIn has 10,000 people. I mean, go in and start mining
Yes,
my contacts.
exactly.
And if you really can't get through to somebody and I believe there's a good connection here, of course I'll help you.
Right.
But I'm not going to send your resume out for you. You got to do your
No,
own work.
yeah,
Otherwise, I'm
absolutely.
out of business. I won't get anything done if I'm trying out to do
Yeah,
everybody
no,
else's
you
work
can't
because
do
they
that.
don't want to make the effort.
Absolutely.
You know? So.
Is there anything that you would like to add to this, or to finish?
Well, I would love for people to come to my events. You know, theartofactivenetworking.com. The whole question we ask at my events is, how can I help you do better right now? It really is the most unique networking event because it's kind of anti-networking. It's really about connecting with the people on your left and your right and saying, how can I help you do better right now? Because my perspective is that if you have 100 people in a room and 99 of them are worried about you, and you're worried about 99 of them, then you're going to get all this abundance because you can't afford to hire all those people.
No.
You know, so take 100 people, put them in a room, and each one of them has 100 contacts or 1,000 contacts. Look at how many people that network then brings to bear on a problem or an answer that you're looking for. And if we all change our attitude about helping each other do better in life, then everything raises up.
Attitude is everything.
Attitude is everything, but it's also action.
Well,
you know,
have
get
to
it
take action.
because people are like, you know, well, I do this all the time, you know, and I don't care. If you go to church every Sunday, that's great. But when are you going to go out and help somebody do better? You know, and if you give to charity all the time, that's great. But are you giving to the right charities, and are you is your money making an effort, or are you just feeling good about yourself? And if you're going out and volunteering, that's great. But if you don't all the time, if you're always just taking and always just taking, I just sort of think that someday it's going to come back to you, you know. And
of course.
I hope that everybody would start to make that shift for themselves and to start to shift to their passionate purpose, because imagine what a world would be if we were all just living our passionate purpose and letting everybody to live.
Sharing it.
And not sitting here telling us what we can't, shouldn't, won't, and don't.
No,
you know, just like stop telling each other what to do and just, you know. There's a great book, if you've ever read Robert Fulghum.
No, I haven't read
one of the funniest men alive on this planet. And he's a minister, or former minister, and an author, and he's written all these wonderful books, but the very first book that made him kind of famous was called Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And you can read the book in an hour. It's a brilliant book because, like, and one of his things is like, you know, if all the leaders of the free world would just take a nap every day at noon, like you do in kindergarten, lay down on your blanket, just take a little nap, and we wouldn't have wars and problems, you know.
Because you're re-energizing, you know, you're getting at that peaceful meditation state.
Exactly.
Which, you know, feeds your mind, your heart, your body, everything.
Yes. And if I could learn to meditate, whew, I'm getting ready. I'm looking. I think I just found the teacher, but I'm going to try to learn because every time I've tried, I fall asleep. I can't stop.
See, it's the focus.
Well, and I can't stop this. I try to stop my head and I can't. Like I'll start trying to meditate, and then I start remembering that I had to call you. And
have you ever focused like on a candle?
I did. I've focused on the candle, and I focused on the spot, and
there's something that will get you.
I got to do it. Sure. There's some switch that needs to be flipped. I've just got to find it.
Okay, well that's good. At least you're willing to do that because it's called survival. You know, for you to be able to get to
Absolutely.
that place.
Yeah, because I mean, my doctor recently described me as a speedboat on full throttle, tied to the dock.
Oh,
and he says,
you're going to tear the dock out.
Yeah, he says, you're just like trying to pull that dock down. And he goes, but you're not getting anywhere. He goes, because I don't sleep very well at night. I sleep 3 hours a night. And he said,
Are you bipolar?
No. No, I don't have the big crashes and all. No, I'm just always like this. And he said, but you're going to burn your motor out, you know. And so I'm trying to get myself to sleep, and I'm trying to see if meditation can help that. And
it will.
I've done sleep studies, and I've got a very odd sleep pattern that they can't figure out why I'm doing this. And all my adrenals are taxed, but my cortisol curves and all these things are perfect. They're like your textbook. I'm like, we don't understand why this is.
Yeah. Well, you'll get to the bottom of it because I think you want to.
Well, the meditation is one of my next steps to try to figure out if that can get me to.
Meditation, I've been doing
that. Or maybe heavy drinking.
I don't think so, Mark. No, I don't think so.
I'll be destined to sleep alone the rest of my life because I think I snore when I drink. So.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
This conversation has gone a lot more, a little different than I anticipated.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No. I mean, this is delightful because It's also unraveling some of the things that you're doing, and also an example for our audience.
Well, I mean, I'm very much, as I said, I really do genuinely want to help people do better. So it's my purpose. I mean, my purpose is to spread the word. I mean, I said the other day in my meeting, at my event, I said, for me, this is my church. When I do these events and I get people to these events, I said my church is I'm going to have a cult where everybody just comes and they help each other do better, and that's going to be my church, because look at I just believe I really do believe we can change the planet in better ways. No, you know, Steve Jobs had a great quote that said the world doesn't need changing. You know,
no, it's the
and I agree. And it's not even the people. We don't need to change. We just need to make
thinking.
Little shifts. You know,
we need to change our thinking, and
Yeah.
I'm proponently and constantly saying we need to love ourselves unconditionally. That to me is the key to everything, because when you do that, then you can share openly.
When you can't love, I mean, that's something I've wrestled with a lot, because there's nobody in this room or in this studio harder on themselves than I am.
I think we're all hard. I know I'm hard on myself, but you know, it's that unconditional loving thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just saw an Ayurvedic doctor, and
good.
she took my pulse.
Yep, yep.
And in 2 minutes, she didn't know when I was born. She didn't know I was a Virgo. She didn't know what my health problems are that I'm dealing with. She knew nothing about me. She had just been told, this guy is dealing with some stuff and he needs to talk to you. Yeah. And in 5 minutes, she told me everything that's wrong with me. And I'm blown away. She says, well, you have some digestion issues. Yeah. You definitely don't sleep. She goes, oh, you're a Virgo, huh? And I was like, how do you know this? Yeah, well, and she says, well, I'm listening to your pulse. And
it's intuitive, and it's her experience.
I'm amazed by this woman in New York City that I saw. And so
You're going back.
Oh, God. I'm doing the diet she told me to do. And,
good,
you know,
good.
So in about a week, I'm starting a 3-day gourd and banana cleanse. And I don't know, but like, I was so impressed with her that she could tell me these things about myself without knowing anything about me, just by feeling my pulse points. Yeah. So I'm intrigued. So.
Well, good, because it sounds like you're really opening to listening, so you can heal that part of yourself.
I have to
and
just
then
shut up.
You'll be whole.
I have to shut up long enough to listen.
See, listening. I write about that in my 3rd chapter in my book, listening, and that's a form of meditation.
Well, active listening is really important too, because a lot of people listen, but then they don't absorb.
They don't really listen. Yeah. Because your mind's going so fast that it's like, the example I use is a film strip, and I know you can relate to this because you've been in the film industry. Right. If you look at each film strip, okay, you know how
it's a piece of a story, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but you slow it down.
Yeah.
You slow it down until it stops.
Yeah.
Okay? And then it stops, and you stay there, and that's your meditation right there. That's where you stay there long enough until you feel relaxed. And then you can let go.
Yeah, and mine's a high def, high speed.
but it has to slow down, so you can stop it. So get the high def to just slow down.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's when you really listen, and when you can see and listen. Is that when in that one frame? There is more than enough money and abundant energy flowing on this planet for everyone to have $8 to $10 million apiece. Even the babies in Africa and India. I've calculated these numbers. And the top 2% have the lion's share of the wealth. And point being is that you can open your threshold, your mental threshold for wealth without being greedy. The purpose of this show is to help and assist you towards freedom, waking up to your mindfulness and wealth consciousness, your wealth transformation. I'd like to share a joke with you to start off. The female dormitory will be out of bounds for all you male students. So too, the male dormitory for the female students. Anybody caught breaking this rule will be fined $20. The first time anybody caught breaking the rule, the second time, will be fined $60. Being caught a third time will incur a hefty fine for $180. Are there any questions? At this, a male student in the crowd inquires, how much for a season pass? Have you been practicing and waking up to loving yourself unconditionally? Men, this applies to you too. And I say this multiple times, but this is how important it is. And to get this on an unconscious level, so please write on your mirror, I love myself unconditionally, and leave it on there for at least 21 days. The last segment I was talking to you about how important the brain power and the mindful energy is, how precious your mindfulness and awareness is. And just a couple of weeks ago, I listened to a conversation, a special conversation between Deepak Chopra, MD, and Dr. Kafatos, physicist. Deepak Chopra, I believe you know, is a leading MD and a spiritual leader and author. He co-founded the Chopra Wellness Center in San Diego, California, and now he has a channel on YouTube called The Chopra Well. Dr. Kafatos has been the Vice Chancellor for Special Projects for Chapman University since 2008. He is an expert in science and physics. Deepak is a change agent and a leader, as he calls, the transition team between science and spirituality. Dr. Kafatos and Dr. Chopra were discussing, as they called, the riddle of consciousness. This is exactly what we need for proof and confirmation of how the brain works. They called this the involution instead of evolution. Involution means getting involved, and it can be complicated, but I think it's only complicated because it seems to be more challenging to understand how spirit and physics, metaphysics, integrate together. But then this is all part of our evolutionary understanding as humans. What was referenced is that our bodies completely change on a cellular chemistry level every 7 years. We as human beings can change our thinking, change our hardware, like we do with our computers. It can be as easy as our thoughts, one at a time, to change your thoughts. It doesn't have to be so hard to change your thinking, your mindfulness, if you want to. Our mind controls the rest of your being. I love this information. This is really important to know and to really understand, so you know there are no limitations for anything that you put your mind to. It can happen, it will happen. We just need to be aware. Bring it.